Just when you thought Microsoft had revealed everything about the two next-gen Xbox consoles, here comes a rumor that there is a third unannounced Xbox Series console, and this is something we have to talk about. What is going on, everybody? It's Randall419, the man with the million, back again with another video. Hope everyone's having a great Friday, and if you guys could do me a huge favor, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and share this video out on social media. Thank you guys for all the support. It means so much to me. So we all know Microsoft had a huge week this past week. They unveiled the pricing, release date, and pre-orders for both the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. The X is going to be $499, the Series S is going to be $299, and you can start pre-ordering your systems on September 22nd. But a weird rumor started to spread yesterday, so much so that I can't even tell you how many Twitter conversations I was tagged in, how many DMs I got, and yes, people were even sending me messages on Xbox to ask me about this rumored Xbox Series V console. So I'm going to throw up the image right now, and you can see the three systems aligned. You have the Series X on the left side, you have the newly announced Xbox Series S on the right side, and in the middle you have conveniently a system that is smaller than the Xbox Series X but bigger than the Xbox Series S, and it's called the Xbox Series V. Now with the picture of the consoles comes some text. It says Xbox Series V ? A diskless Xbox Series X. If this is real, this is huge. $299, $399, $499 locked down. So what this rumor basically is implying is that the Xbox Series V is an Xbox Series X without the disk drive, and that instead of being $499, it will be $399. But let's look at it from every angle possible, and we're going to start with the name of the console. Does that make any sense? Xbox Series V for an all-digital version of the Xbox Series X. Right there, just a simple naming convention doesn't pass the smell test. Now, Microsoft has spent a lot of money on marketing and consumer education when it comes to the types of Xbox consoles. They've been using X and S for years now. People know what Xbox One X means. It's the most powerful. That's why the new console is called the Series X. And on the flip side, people know what Xbox One S means. They know what the S stands for. It means slim. Microsoft has spent a ton of money educating consumers on what X means and on what S means. And even though the Xbox Series S isn't really a slim version of the X, Microsoft used that naming convention because consumers are already aware of what it means. They spent a ton of money educating people on the difference of X and S. And if you add a third one in there, Series V, it just would confuse people a lot more. But then don't we already have an example of what Microsoft would call a console if it didn't come with the disk drive? Oh yeah, this generation, Microsoft put out the Xbox One S All-Digital Edition. So if this rumor was true, and the Xbox Series V was really a Series X without a disk drive, it certainly wouldn't be called the Xbox Series V. It would simply be called the Xbox Series X All-Digital Edition. Just take another look at the image of the Series V. It's supposed to be a Series X without a disk drive, yet it's not as tall and it's definitely not as wide. But it's supposed to have all the same internals of the Series X because it's the diskless version, right? But that's not how any of this works. Take a look at the Xbox One S all-digital version. It was the same thing as the Xbox One S, just with a different shell that didn't have a disk drive, and all that really changed on the inside was the removal of the disk drive. Everything else was laid out exactly the same. So if Microsoft was indeed making an Xbox Series X all-digital version, it would look exactly like the Series X as it is now, just with a new shell that wouldn't have a disk drive. But there is another variation of this rumor I need to address. One of my buddies, Idle Sloth, tweeted this out yesterday. You see, it got a lot of traction on Twitter. 186 retweets, 242 quote retweets, and 1,000 likes. If you actually look into the quote retweets, a lot of people believe this is actually true, and they can't believe Microsoft would do something like this. But Idle Sloth says, hey, this is a rumor. There is a Xbox Series V. Codename is Project Edinburgh. It's rumored to be less powerful than the Series X, but more powerful than the Series S. So the image we just looked at said it was a diskless Xbox Series X. This rumor says that it's somewhere in between the power levels of the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X. What? Firstly, I need to address the Project Edinburgh rumor. It has nothing to do with these consoles. Project Edinburgh isn't even really consumer facing. It's not something you'll be able to go out and buy. It's basically xCloud server blades or something along those lines. It has nothing to do with consoles. And then the idea that Microsoft, who just addressed a huge leak by announcing the Xbox Series S early, because all this information, the Series X, the Series S, the EA Play and Game Pass, as well as the Xbox All Access, was supposed to be in some sort of video event thing happening next week on September 17th. But unfortunately, plans had to change because everything leaked. And then Microsoft revealed the Series S, they revealed the release date and the price, and then the following day they gave us the pre-order information, the price of the Series X. But now I'm supposed to believe that Microsoft, who just showed their entire hand when it comes to next generation, secretly has an unannounced Xbox console that coincidentally is in between the power level of the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. So we have 12 teraflops for the Series X and 4 teraflops for the Series S, one that does 4K and one that's supposed to do 1440p, 1080p, and the Series V is supposed to sit in between that. What is that one supposed to have? 8 teraflops? What resolution is that supposed to output? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. People, use some freaking common sense here. The Series X and the Series S are going to be pre-orderable in 11 days and launch in 2 months. If the Series V actually existed, whether it was basically a diskless version of Series X or some monstrosity that is in between the power level of Series S and X, Microsoft would have announced it because they want you to buy the product. I mean, come on, guys, just look at the picture itself. Disregard everything I've said about the naming convention and the internals and the fact that it's a monstrosity between power levels that Microsoft wants to keep hidden for whatever stupid reason. Just look at the pic itself. It's low quality and it's at an angle. It's never full on, because if it was full on, you could probably very easily tell that the Series V is photoshopped. I mean, just looking at it right now, you can tell that the Series V doesn't even have a USB port on the front like both the other consoles do. Now you can make the argument it's hidden behind the controller, but please, it's a photoshopped image. This whole thing is completely fake. I asked a few of my buddies who are in the know, and they all said, haven't heard a thing about it, it's completely made up. But the most concerning thing to me is how many people actually believed it was true. I guess we really freaking do live in the era of fake news. And you know what? I am so positive that this is completely fake based on the people I've talked to and my own logic that I use all the time, that if it does end up to be true, I'll play Animal Crossing for charity. That's right, Animal Crossing, a game I want nothing to do with on a system that I don't give two flying Fs about. I'll play that gladly. That's how confident I am that this is completely made up. Anyways, guys, that's the video. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Share this out on social media, or maybe tell a friend about the channel. Hit that notification bell if you always want to be noted right away whenever I drop a new video. If you want to take the support for the channel even further, you can hit the join button, where you get access to channel badges and the emotes that you can use during the Xbox 2 podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. It truly means so much to me, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.